Hi everyone. I was going to write you a blog post about how the new user interface works, and then it dawned on me that's a really stupid idea because it's really hard to explain in words and so much easier if I just show you around. So I'm going to try to catch up with modern life and make you one of these newfangled video things. We'll see how we get on. Okay, so what you're looking at on the screen obviously is not the new user interface. It's the Unity editor where I spend most of my life. Um, but it's an example of the kind of user interface that I've been using up until now in the game, in the sense that it's both 2D and 3D. The two-dimensional bit, obviously, you need a mouse pointer if you're going to select stuff on the two-dimensional side, but mouse pointers are useless when it comes to moving around in 3 dimensions, and so even in Unity, you have to go into a different mode and start messing around with mouse buttons and keys to move in 3 dimensions. So this is a real problem. Um, for a start, if you play a lot of first-person shooters, then you expect your keys to be in a particular place and do a particular thing. And I couldn't always do that because I had these other constraints that I had to work in 2 dimensional space as well as three. And it also worked really badly on a laptop because um, trying to mess around with a trackpad and hold mouse buttons down at the same time was really hard. But I didn't like it either. Uh, it's it's not very immersive for a start. You know, you have to keep coming back into our side of the world to click on menu options. Um, but the killer, the last straw, is that the more features I add to the simulation, the more cluttered the UI became. And although it's nowhere near as cluttered as Unity's UI, uh, it was getting bad. So I decided the time had come to throw the whole thing away, delete hundreds of lines of code, and start again from scratch. Okay, so what I decided to do is move the entire user interface into 3 dimensional space. And then we don't need 2D modes, we don't need mouse cursors or anything like that. But the only thing that's on our side of the screen now is that purple um, crosshair. And everything else happens inside this notebook. So that makes moving around much more easy because you just wave your mouse around to look at things, and W and S do what you'd expect. And should you happen to have a reason to hide behind a tree to avoid snipers, then you can use the A and the D key too. So that's much more streamlined and straightforward and much more what people expect. Um, Everything else happens on this notebook or in this notebook. So there's two sides to the notebook. It's got a cover, and you can open it up by hitting the tab key. But we'll talk about the inside in a minute. So on the outside, you can see we have essentially a toolbar, except it's not quite a toolbar. So the use tool obviously uses the ball and kicks it. The carry tool carries the ball and allows us to move it around in 3 dimensional space and drop it. But it's not quite a toolbar because we can pick up a ball, and instead of dropping it here, we can drop it on the toolbar, and now it's in our backpack and we can carry it somewhere. So essentially I've combined the idea of an inventory with the idea of a toolbar. And that's fine, that's useful. But then it occurred to me that that means the tools can also be inventory items, and so we can add and remove them as well. So you actually have to unlock the toolbar to make that happen. But once we've done it, we can use the carry tool to pick tools off the toolbar and drop them in the world. And obviously that's a cube at the moment, but it'll look like a syringe eventually. Um, so we can drop them. We can drop the ball, of course, the same way. And that means we can actually pick tools up in the 3D world and put them in our toolkit. So you can go into the house and pick up the things you might need if you fancy training your creatures or doing biology or learning about the plants or whatever. And you can pick up objects and drop them on the toolbar. So I think that's pretty neat, just combining the toolbar and inventory together means that we can actually do more with the tools too. The only other thing to mention, I should unlock the toolbar before I mess it up, is you can use the 1, 2, 3 keys to switch tools quickly. Everything else happens on the inside of the notebook. So we hit the tab to open that up, and obviously being a notebook, we can type notes. This is a note. But also we can type lots of other things. So if you see on the bottom line of the screen, there's a bunch of keywords. There are hints. Hints about which kinds of interaction we can do. So interactions exist in the notebook. There are interactions that exist in the tools. And there are interactions that exist in objects in the world, like plants or creatures. And so we can use the examine tool to examine things in the world, and we get new interactions in our notebook that we can do with them. But at the moment, we're not observing anything, so we've just got the basic set. So we can do things like print. Print what? Well, we can print the weather. We can print the date. We can print my what? My expression. I look calm. So let me change my facial expression. So set my expression to happy. And so now when we create creatures, they'll be able to see them smiling. So there's lots of stuff we can do right out the gate. You might be wondering why I've wasted half the page on a silly sketch, but it's not actually a sketch. It can display data. So we can type watch, and in this, right at the moment, all we can watch is the weather, but it'll extract data from the simulation and display it once every second on the screen. Watches are mostly for my benefit, but I'll leave them in so that you can use them too when you want to. Plot, the only thing we can plot at the moment is the weather, and what we get is basically an air pressure map for like 20 miles either side of us. So I can see there's a storm coming actually. The wind moves from the southwest to the northeast, so I think there's a storm coming anytime now. Maybe that's why the clouds are building up. It doesn't look very nice at the moment. It'll look like a proper weather map eventually. But for the moment, let's just plot nothing and create a creature. So we'll make a creature, and we'd have to do that in my special dev section, my secret dev section. We'll create a Bolly, and we'll make an adult. There she is, or he is. And now we've created a creature, we can click on the examine tool and examine her. And now when we go to the notepad, we've got new options. So we didn't have a describe command before, but we've got one now. So describe. Oh, Bohan is a male Bolly. And Bohan, I don't like that name, so let's call him something else. We'll call him Eric. And now Bohan is called Eric. But there's tons of other stuff we can do now that we've selected the creature to look at. So we can watch various things. Again, most of the watch things are for me for debugging, but I'll leave them in. But we can watch some chemistry, for example. Chemistry. And we'll look at metabolism. And there we go. We've got a bunch of metabolic chemicals, and they change once every second. So we can see what's going on. There's other stuff we can watch too. So we'll watch an organ. I don't know, the balance organ, the inner ear. And now we know which way up the creature is and how fast he's moving, and all sorts of other things. We can plot lots of things. So let's plot brain scan, which currently the word is surface, but I'll change that to scan. And I don't know, the recognition map, where they learn to recognize objects, and we'll look at the bottom layer of it. And now we're getting live brain data coming out. Okay, so that's basically it. There's a lot more. I can't show you around all of it, and there's going to be tons more eventually. Imagine, I mean, for example, you'll soon be able to say something to your creature. So say, hello, Eric. And how about you want to chat to other people who are online? You know, is there a storm coming? And none of this works yet, but it will eventually. Okay, that's basically it, I think. There are multiple pages, so you can keep notes on one page and track a creature on another, and so on. But that's how it now works. Much more streamlined, much more straightforward. I like the idea that the toolbar and an inventory are now combined into one, and we can have tools that you can go into the house and pick things up off the shelves and put them in your toolbar, take camping equipment with you and that kind of thing. And we can I can add tons more interactions without it cluttering up the user interface, because if you don't want to use it, just don't use it. It doesn't take up any space. All right, well, that's it, I think. I hope you like it. I really hope you like it. And I'll speak to you again soon. Bye now.